So last week we covered the second five things, the first five things the week before, and it's what I've been writing about in the Friday Focus. And then I have a list of 10 things that you don't control in your business. And it's funny how we spend so much time on the things we don't control and how much time we may waste intellectually on them. And so the first thing we don't control is interest rates. We know that. We have no control over interest rates. We have no control over the housing markets, how much inventory there is, how fast prices are rising, when prices are falling, how long houses are staying on the market. You don't control how many leads you get in a week or a month. You only control the inputs that produce those leads, right? You control all of those, and that's what produces the leads, but you don't control the actual number. So if I said, you're going to get 10 leads this week, no matter what, I don't think you're going to, that's maybe not that's not the thing you control. You control how many conversations you have, which produces the leads. You don't control how many loans you're going to lock in a week or a month. You don't control when a pre-approved buyer goes under contract. You don't control how many contracts fall out or move to another month. I always say, if you want to close 5 loans, you better get 6 locked, right? Because one of those is going to fall out. It's a 20% fallout rate typically. And it doesn't mean that you lose the loan to somebody else, but they move to another month. They back out because of the inspection. And now they're, might take them another 30 days to get a house under contract, which is another 60 days before you're going to close. So it's just, those are the things that you don't control. You don't control, this is a big one. You don't control the appraised value of a property or the condition of the property, right? So the value is the value. It's not your responsibility. And then you don't control the borrowers. This is a big one. You don't control the borrower's qualifications. It really is their responsibility. It's your responsibility to be a great technical loan officer and know how to get somebody qualified, know how to make a program work. The work Jacqueline did, the story that she told last week about pushing the city and county of Denver to accept the higher DTI ratio on the front end because interest rates are in the 7s now, and you couldn't possibly hit the ratio that they're shooting for on that affordable housing program. You control that, but you don't control how much money somebody makes. You don't control their credit report. You don't control, and a lot of times the biggest, especially newer loan officers, you spend way too much time trying to, smash a square peg into a round hole and make a loan work. It's not a loan. It's not, they either get a loan or they don't get a loan every time. That's it. They either get a loan or they don't get a loan every time. And your job is to make sure that you know how to do that at the highest level so that you, A, get people loans, even if other people think they can't get a loan, or B, you don't spend time trying to get them a loan they can't get, right? Because that's just as expensive. And so, you also don't control, and I hate this, but it's true, you don't control if a ball gets dropped by somebody outside your control and outside of this organization or inside this organization. You don't control that. Like, somebody can drop a ball. I hate it when it happens. We strive to have it never happen, but you can't control that. And, but we can all strive to be better at it. We're really good at this here. And I'll put our record of performance up against literally anybody's, but those are the things that you don't control. And it's interesting that when any of those 9 things happen to us, we spend a lot of time on them. We do spend way too much time on them. And that's where this 1 minute timer thing, you lost a deal, that you use that, turn it over, like be upset for a minute and then move on, because any energy that you direct towards something that you don't like is wasted energy and is non-productive and costs you money. And so, if you don't like, again, you have no control over those interest rates or those housing markets. If you don't like how many leads you're getting in a week or a month, make more calls, right? Have more conversations, because you control that for sure. I mean, just listening to you, Jay, and so I'm calling all these people up and all of a sudden I'm getting leads. Like, yeah, isn't that amazing? And so it's like, it's not amazing. It's just what happens if you have enough conversations, and that's what you control. So control that. And that's where those inputs lie. When I did the list originally, there were 10 things on the list of the things that you do control. And then But when I think about the 9 things you don't control, I'm not going to lie. It's easy to get pissed off in this business. It's easy to have a bad day. People do shit that really annoy you. Balls get dropped, and you guys have to know I die a little inside when somebody on the ops team drops a ball on somebody on the sales team. It just kills me. And because I'm like, God damn it. And Jacqueline running the operations team in the past, she knows how, and that's why Jacqueline was a terrible ops manager. She was a great ops manager, but she was a terrible ops manager in the sense that she would just like, I'll just do it myself. And then she would just, and then Jacqueline was a freak and she could process and close all those loans and people, I don't know, Jacqueline, did people love working for you? Hobber, did you love working for Jacqueline?
Well, yeah, except for like the 5 times she tried to fire me, but yeah, other than that, it was good. I'm kidding.
The point is,
great.
No one's attempted to fire you in the mortgage industry, then I don't really feel like you really are in the mortgage industry.
No, I remember at Fairway, yeah, like we didn't really have too many issues. It was basically we were just processing all of Giuseppe's loans. But Jack would just like get with people at Fairway and just boom, 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 and it was like, all right, we're good to close. So yeah, I don't know, magic.
It does suck when I'll be the first to admit, because like we're all like tethered to our text message at 7 a.m. now when MBS pricing comes out. And I mean, how did you feel the other day when you saw a 50 basis point improvement in the MBS? Felt great, right? How would you have felt if it was a 50 basis point drop in the MBS? You'd have felt like shit. But we have no control over either one of those situations. It's good to feel good when it happens. It's a waste of time and energy to feel bad when it doesn't work in our favor. And so what you do control, there's an 11th thing that you control. And we talked about this. I haven't used it in a while, but you control your ACE. You control your attitude, you control your commitment, and you control your effort. And that's what those 10 things at the top are, the effort side of, and the effort and commitment side of this is the dials, the number of social media posts, the number of events that you attend, the number of handwritten cards you send, the number of email broadcasts, how many times you ask for referrals in a day intentionally, how consistent you are recording every action in your CRM, completing all your tasks, the quality of your files, your diligence in learning to master all your tools, and how much you study and rehearse the conversations that you have to have to convert at the highest possible ratio. All of that, the effort and the quality of the work that you do on those top 10 is all based on number 11, which is your attitude, your commitment, your effort. And we can all, I'm as guilty as anybody. I have bad things happen. I read a really interesting article about when Harry Truman used to have the buck stops here on his desk. It's because the very worst things that no one else can take care of end up at his desk. He's the one that has to make the worst fucking decisions and the hardest decisions and the toughest decisions. And so that's when, in my role, when that stuff happens and I have to keep reminding myself, attitude, commitment, effort, everybody's watching me, my mood impacts the mood of the entire office. So but yours does too. Your mood and your approach as loan officers, everybody's super sensitive and hyper focused on your happiness, whether you realize it or not. When a loan officer isn't happy, everybody in the operations department's like, oh shit. They're really pissed off. And because you are I love this. I love this analogy. Salespeople are the elite athletes of an organization, because without the sales, we got nothing. And so everybody's upset and worried when you're upset and worried. Just to be clear, you don't know that, but it's true. They're all worried and upset when you're worried and upset. So your attitude and your commitment and your effort are the difference makers on those on the 10 things you control and on the 10 things you don't. 9 things, I guess, that you don't control. So just remember that. Just keep that in mind, because it's nice to know the things. I like the part where you're like, I control this. I control how many calls. I control all that work. And that's going to produce my results. It's not going to be consistent. You're never going to close exactly 10 loans every single month for the rest of your life. It's never going to happen. It will for Christine. She's going to close 10 loans in a month, 6 months in a row. And then she's going to be able to define that's going to be her happy place. But But you can do that, right? And the way you do it is you're going to close 11 and 12. That's how you're going to do it. It's not going to be exactly 10. And so keep that in mind. I mean, just remember the attitude, the commitment, and the effort that you bring to all of this is the difference. And it'll always be the difference. So that's it. Anybody have any feedback, any questions, any debate on my list? And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Because if there's other things that you don't control that I left off, let me know. Or other things you control that I didn't include, let me know. It's just my list. It doesn't mean it's the carved in marble list.
I think at this point in my career, I'm just now getting to the point where I'm not spending too much time on the apps that you were talking about that aren't going to be loans and have low credit. I think for so long I was feeling so bad for people and wanting to do, everything that I could to help. And I just got like a whole pile of them put on my lap at the same time. So I was forced to be that person and prioritize my time and say no. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And ultimately, I don't think people will care as much as you think they will if you give them good advice. People don't care. Like, if you care a lot about what you're doing, I don't think they care as much about you. That's what I've learned in the last 2 weeks. So I've learned to stop spending so much time on loans like that in the last month. So I definitely agree. But it took 4 years to get to this point. But I feel so much better have gotten here and putting value on my time and on my energy. If I've learned anything the last month, I've learned that.
I've met loan officers that are 20 years in the business and they still do it. They just, I got to figure out a way to see if there's a way for them to have more income. I'm like, dude, they make what they make.
Yeah. Well, they're not appreciative as much as you would think they are. Like, holding to your schedule, not making yourself available at 8 a.m. for people who can't even do a mortgage right now. That's all stuff that I've been doing the last month, and it feels damn good, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about this when I was down in the Springs with Christine. We talked about barriers and boundaries, and here's how I work, and the power in that statement, and the fact that you can't just show up at your dentist to get your teeth cleaned because you want to get teeth cleaned today. You got to make an appointment because that's how it works. And so it's okay for you to have that. I don't know why we struggle with that. We just, because we're pleasers, we're salespeople. We want we do whatever we can. And
that's what makes us the best, I think, at Zenith. We all care a lot about helping people and about what we do. And I think that's what also differentiates us in the market. But we also have to protect ourselves with that in mind.
Yeah, Christine, that was normal. I did the same thing. And it's like after 4 years, something clicked. I was like, why am I spending so much time on this? Yeah. And I would take it personal if they didn't qualify as like, I felt like I was doing a bad job or something, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why, but it's like, oh, I can't get them pre-approved. Maybe someone else can. So, I'd work on it until like, but yeah, you're right. The sooner you get there.
They don't give a shit about you. I mean, they really don't for the most part.
You got to get to know as quickly as possible if it's going to be a no.
Yeah. I used to always take a lot of pleasure in telling somebody, not telling them no, just say, you can't get a mortgage right now, but here's what you can do. And here's what's going to take. I'll help you, but here's what you have to do. I would love to help you because I used to say, I don't get paid to tell you no. I get paid nothing to tell you you can't get a loan. I'm not going to get paid for this. So my goal is to get you a loan. And so here's what you have to do. I need you to clean this up. I need you to take care of this. I need you to take care of that. And people always, I got comments from realtors all the time. It's like, I really like sending my clients to you because even when they can't get a loan, they still have hope. You give them hope.
Yeah.
And
say, yeah, Christine, like on those, like just schedule a 15-minute Zoom, show them like the 1003, the loan app. I don't even do loan options for them at that point, just like, this is what you got to do. Here's review your credit and then set up a follow-up task every 60 days. Cause then you get,
I was going to ask,
I've had clients like 5 years later.
After that.
Yeah, I've had clients 5 years later that call me like, I think I'm ready now. And then they are. So you're just building that future pipeline. So you just can't, like Dave said, it's not, you can buy, just not right now, and I'll help you, but don't spend too much time.
Well, when you get into that whole debt to income ratio conversation, right? Like, here's how this works. Okay. you have to be under this. And I never showed them 49. I always showed them max 45 DTI. And like, this is it. This is the number. So this is where you are. So
I made a template now for that explains DTI and like rule of thumb where you want to be with your income. And I just plug in their specific numbers whenever I have an application come in.
That's a good idea.
Over. That way I don't have to like
Out,
reinvent the
Christine.
Good
wheel.
job, Christine. Templates.
Can you send that
I
out?
love yeah.
yeah, send that out.
Yeah.
That's a nice tool. And like, do you have credit information? You need your scores to do this. Then do you give them any
Yeah.
credit advice on there?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm like, don't close any of your current accounts, 35% of your scores. I'm like, finally, I have all that stuff on there. I do income, assets, and debt. And
That's
then
a
I
great
just
idea.
put in
It's a
their
great-
specific
cour-
information. I've got a credit Zoom template. It's only 4 pages. And Kayla actually fills it in once we get an application in that's not going to work, and it's got our credit repair person on it. So they get a copy of that. And we do like a 20-minute Zoom, and then I send that email. And I just didn't know how often to follow.
I used to do every 90, but it depends on the customer and how bad it is. And if they've done nothing after the first 90, I'm like, yeah, okay, you're not going to do it.
Well, we have a really good our marketing that goes out for people that are working on credit. The information that they get, I get a lot of good feedback on. So that's also a way to kind of set it and forget it after that. But I think it's so, as you said, Chris, important to reach out and check in personally.
Right on.
Yeah, and have an agreement with them when you're going to check in with them, right? Some people, they may have so much work, say, hey, how long do you think it's going to take you to do these things? They say 6 months. Like, great, I'm going to check in with you in 6 months, and then just set it.
And then CC the realtor too, or if it's a text, just so they're like, oh shit, they are following up with this person. That way they don't go into their lost leads folder.
Nice.
Especially if it's an agent you're prospecting, they're like, oh shit, Christine's following up with these people. And all of a sudden you bring them back and they're like, oh wow, all right, thanks Christine. So
Good idea.
Yeah.
Noted. Duly noted.
Anything else?